You have to keep in mind that some time ago, ISIS suggested to supporters around the world that they conduct these kinds of operations and incidents, and several have occurred around the world, most notably in Europe. So anything is possible. We probably shouldn't read too much into it until we know more about it. But this follows the pattern of suggestions from ISIS to its supporters, particularly in Europe.
Colonel, I know people have been on edge, especially since the White House announced this ban about larger devices coming into this country from certain other countries. Is there a sense out there about ISIS having provoked people to commit more acts of terrorism against the U.S., against the U.K., against whomever lately, or are these all just disparate events?
Well, they're not mutually exclusive. They may be disparate events, but also they follow a pattern, and there's clearly no loss of animosity between supporters of ISIS on the one hand and everybody else on the other. There's one thing to keep in mind here, too, because we see these kinds of incidents much more frequently in continental Europe than we do in the United States and even in Great Britain. And one of the explanations is that that there's less support in places like Great Britain and the United States for ISIS. And one possible explanation for that is that in the United States and Great Britain, Middle Eastern immigrants are far more integrated into the social and political fabric of those countries than they are on continental Europe. And I've spoken to a large number of people who agree with that notion that while you're not going to have no incidents like this in Great Britain and the United States, you're far more likely to have the kind of attitudes among immigrants on continental Europe that'll give rise to these kinds of incidents.
And of course, we do want to point out at this point, we don't know what the nature of this incident was. We don't know the gender of the assailant, what the motive might have been, whether this is garden variety crime, just albeit at a time of heightened alarm, or whether this might be a terrorist motive. But I'm wondering, this seems to be a knife attack, at least from the details that we have at this point, preceded by a vehicle that was also running at people. What kind of difference is there at trying to mitigate that sort of an issue? I mean, aside from doing something to divert traffic across the Westminster Bridge, which seems from my view of it not to be a simple thing to do, how do you stop this sort of thing from happening?
Well, it's very, very difficult to stop. We see even in Washington where not too many years ago, you could drive right up to the White House. You could drive down Pennsylvania Avenue. Now you can't do that, and it's very difficult even to walk past the White House now. And even that has not stopped incidents from occurring. We just had one. We had several, actually 3 this past week. So in a place like London, where there's a great deal of traffic across the Thames divides the city more or less in half, it's impossible to restrict vehicular traffic. I mean, you could do it, but it would be it wouldn't be a very good idea, and certainly not pedestrian traffic either. So you're not going to be able to eliminate this sort of thing from happening entirely.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.